Oh, before I get into the Purdue freshman year, I didn't wrap up Houston, which is in the future at this point. But so that's Dave and Lynn and Jess, and then okay, now I'm getting into the last offshore story for now. So this is, to me, I had this picture because it just represented what the oil industry was, one aspect of it was. And if you think about the intersecting boxes and stuff, that you'd have the salespeople, and he would be in the salesperson route. That this was Offshore Technical Conference, OTC, and they had the Astrodome, and oh my God, the people there was just... Frank had a field day. He loved the shtick of swag and everything, and I couldn't stand it. But so I just want to give a quick thing with the people, and then this is why people go offshore so much. Hello, sailor. So, anyway, and then this was a steel inspector that they have. That okay, Marathon is, hold on. Okay, real quick. I mean, using this from yesterday. That Marathon, as an offshore construction engineer, you had the three different disciplines for the offshore platforms. You had the design, the fabrication, the installation. And as the Marathon rep, you got to oversee all these things, but you really didn't. As a company rep, it was so weird. It was like you had all the authority, but none of the responsibility, or all of the responsibility but none of the authority, or even both of those. That's what made it an oxymoron, paradox, whatever, because I couldn't tell these guys what to do, but I could. If I said make it, 8 legs instead of 4 legs, they'd kind of have to, but I couldn't really do that without it being a big deal. And then same with fabrication. I can't tell these guys how to build something. I can see them build it and make sure it's okay, but that's all I did if something went wrong. But you can't tell how to do things. And then same with installation. We were there, we oversaw, and that's why I needed this setup, saying our role was somewhat ambiguous, where authority and responsibility just kind of do a yin-yang, and one starts and ends, and because we really, as a rep, I mean, I summed it up where I kept a field log and wrote about what real people did. Because it's kind of what it was. So, going back, yep. So as Marathon would hire someone to oversee, because we really didn't know what was going on, so we hired an inspector on site who was there 100% of the time to oversee the fabrication in the yard. This is just for the fabrication port. The design, we got together with the design team, and then I did an in-house analysis of what the design came up with, and checked it for Marathon's set of eyes saying, yeah, everything looks okay. And so with the field inspector, we didn't know. I mean, just having the guy who knows the people and the flavor of Louisiana is priceless. So you get a dumb Yank coming down there, a green engineer, saying, hey, I think that TIG weld should be 3/8 of an inch. That ain't going to fly. But if this guy says, hey, can you beef that there? Bo, could you just, throw a little meat on that thing, and there's, okay? So they talk that way. Literally. So this is Frank Broussard, and Frank was he was John's inspector. I tried to hire him, but he was busy on mine, and I ended up getting this other guy. I'll show you. But I got to know Floyd pretty well, because I was writing John's coattails on everything. And Floyd would invite John, because the cool John that I'd tag along, and he liked me. I think he liked, because we called each other years afterwards, and I called him up one day and said, Floyd, who's the worst engineer you know? He goes, boy, what is this? Anyway, so I wish I had the accent down, but I didn't practice. But anyway, so Floyd was just one of those guys who knew how to call BS when BS was there and when things were good and let us know when we should get excited. So he took us to his house. He had a little shack in the back of his house. And he'd take us back there and do crab boils and the deep fry. He had one of these 30-gallon or these huge bowls and heat that thing up and throw in crawfish. And we'd just eat crawfish, invite Margaret there, and the gulf would be sorted. But so he went to his place, had the Little Millers. He always liked the Little Millers. Oh, God. So there's Floyd, and then, so this was the inspector I had. This is Ted. There's old Ted. Purdue Ted, from Wisconsin Ted. And this is Stanley Plaisance. And Stanley was good. Floyd was great. Stanley was good. Just, we didn't clash. We didn't do anything. He gave me gruff. I took it well. We got along. But Floyd was great, because he didn't give me guff because he really tried to play straight up with me, and I tried to joke around a lot with him, and he just didn't play that game. So that's the only about him being good versus Floyd being great was the personal side, where he didn't really warm up to me real well, and just by nature, that's his nature, so that's fine. But so Stanley, for the life of my term as project engineer, Stanley kept spelling my name on every report, on every document, on every letter, Brain. So I was Brain Stayskull. In fact, we had the little tags, the colors things with the sticky back, the label me label baby maker, and he printed out Brain Stayskull, and it was on my hard hat, and I had that hard hat for years afterwards. It got lost in moose, but until one time he called me Matador, and then he punched out a little label baby maker that said Matador, because I got fumed. And I'll tell that because that's here. So yeah, so I was Brain State. I said, yeah, Brain. And then my sister Pancreas and my cousin Colon. And actually, he's kind of weird, so we call him the spastic Colon. Okay. I'm doing the snort. I blew my nose, so I'm trying to help. And then I left all these in because this is vintage 80s. I want to make sure that these are authenticated by the old vintage 8mm curls at the corner. So here's Frank. Frank's just offshore. He's just, the Texas stuff and the boots. And so he got along with all these guys. So this is a diver. They're watching a tender operation because here's the tank where the guys would have to decompress and stuff. Oh, what a wicked job. You could tell the salesmen were guys that did one dive too many because they came back and they had that little twitch. They were just, so how's your career? Good. But it was good. Toward the end, it got short out. But what a wicked job, to be underwater, and most of the time you're in water. This was, I remember it's 221 feet because this was a platform we were taking out. And the diver would go down. This is the only time we had 24-hour watch, because that's why I know Frank was there. And we had 24-hour watch. So the diver would go down, pitch black, and all we'd see is a little radar and the downtime. All you had was downtime because these guys had to decompress. And you can't have, you can only go so many before things pile up. So a lot of downtime. So yeah, it was yakety. So this diver would go down, and then we look at a little radar, call that the radar screen, and we're picking up trash on this thing. So it goes around and go bloop, bloop. I guess the radar can go faster. And bloop. And so we would send the diver, we could see his target, because the camera would be fixed, and the radar would go around, and we'd pick up targets to send the diver over to put chain links around, or chain wraps around the debris and haul it up. So whatever big target came up on the radar, we'd send the diver over. Well, one time we're sitting there and, it's going around blip, blip, and we see a target and we send the diver over. He's going over, you see, it was like aliens. Guy's going over, and you get the going around, bloop, and you can see where he is, and it comes around, boop, and he's closer, and we go, yeah, now a little bit to your left, no, okay, straight, and he's going, and all of a sudden you hear this, and then you see this thing dart away. And it turned out it was like a grouper the size of a Volkswagen down there that we sent this guy. I don't know why it picked up on the image, but we sent this guy who's feeling around blind and smacked him into a grouper that's sitting on the bottom. Oh, God, could you do that for a living? Nuh-uh. I'd just fake a twitch and go, oh, it's a grouper, but no. Anyway, so that's what this operation was. And actually, that's a whole other thing, because this whole debris well, we'll just wait. So this was another one. This was the salvage. They took out a platform. In fact, what Frank was on was when they took out this platform, we had to go back and clean up all the area to clean up in situ, or at least pretend it was in situ for the way it was before the platform went in. So this was Marathon's first abandonment, and it was a big to-do, and that's why Jake had the press boat and everything else, because this was not state of art, but state of concept getting carried out, and Marathon needed good PR. And this was being touted as an artificial reef offshore Alabama. Marathon was the second one, and I just did this a few months ago. I'll find the article where it's mentioned. So this was the second artificial reef. So I'm doing a quick little insert on the video, and I'm on Saturday, and I want to keep it the Sabbath, so I keep this in there. And, wait a minute, isn't that Jewish? What are you wearing the Jewish holidays? Okay, Mr. Theology, go back a little bit further. Anyway, so Marathon Oil, artificial reef, and this one article mentions Marathon, well, sorry, fast. So it's just a study that was done for these artificial reef. It's basically just putting garbage in a controlled area in the Gulf. So not that anyone has to read this, but pointing out in the demonstration projects that Exxon was the first one. I don't know if I said that or might have said Mobil or Tenneco. And then, yeah, so here, Marathon Oil, Toda. That was me. Marathon? No, the rep did. And he ate pork chops fried in peanut oil for 2 weeks. Is that in the article? I think not. Was Jake smiling at the company rep in this article? No, you little brainiacs with your academic prowess. Why don't you include the details? See? Offshore Alabama. And I've got pictures to show it. Anyway, just wanted to throw this in there. There might be more, but hold on. So I got another one, and this one's got little pretty pictures of fishes. And anyway. And this is just another study by a bunch of academics. See if they overlook the details. The suspense. It's 20 pages in. So it's blah, 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 blah. See, it is Exxon Texaco. Were we the third? We were told the second. That's why the press was there. I don't know. Whatever. So this is only 1,650 tons. Wasn't it more than the other one? So 220 miles from the coast of... See? 220. No. It's called 2 weeks of fried pork chop in peanut oil miles, not 220 miles. The last of 6-month rotation for a crew that hadn't seen land in 6 months. That's how many miles it was. They're 2 tugboats. It was cool. Sort of. I take that back. It stunk. Guest stay by the engine room, and it's just diesel smell. And all I did was sit on the deck and catch rays and write my little field book. Day 3. Oh, I don't have that field book. It was so funny. Day 1, just like day 0. Day 19. Well, I just said 2 weeks, so I screwed that up. Anyway, so what else did they say? Blah, blah, blah. Who cares? See, they can't even get the details right. This is 1,815 ton. This one's 1,600. That must have, the rest of that was just pork chops they bailed out. That was, I'm telling you, when they left Louisiana, they had all the pork chops, and by the time we pulled in port, that's where that difference counts for. Whatever, 1815 minus 1650. I don't have a computer here. I can't do that. So one more. I know everyone's gripped in their seats, but so another study. Blah, 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 blah. I mean, it was a big to-do. Look at all those platforms that came afterwards. Ooh, get woozy. That was a 6-foot chop after eating pork chops. My brother, his first job was at Exxon. There's a fun fact. People are writing this down. Make sure that's in your notes. But you talk about the sibling rival, and he works at Exxon, I work at Marathon. There are all these little subtle things. It's kind of funny. My father went to Purdue. I went to Purdue. Probably the only reason I went to Purdue is because he went to Purdue. And there's probably more truth in this. There's probably 40%. I don't want to give him any more credit, but it's the easiest answer. Told him I wanted to be a writer, journalism school, and he goes, do what, write for a living? Isn't that kind of what they do? Haven't you seen me in the typewriter? You know that little thing? I build models and I write about things. Oh, engineer, yeah, you have me pegged for an engineer. Sorry, I got it. All right, we're done. Bye. Platform in the Gulf. So that's why the press and everyone were there. But turned out to be, you'll see. Anyway, so then this is the welding inspector. And, again, oil industry. That's what lunch. Hey, you want to do lunch? Yeah, that's fine. You want to do lunch? Yeah, let's do lunch. You want to do some Little Millers back at my place? Yeah, okay, except for this. Look at this. And I tried to think of his name this morning, and he just came up with Taekwondo. Like, that's not his name, but this guy sweated like crazy out there. But he's one of those where I was so easily intimidated because of my, just being young and out of place and out of character. This guy just carried his weight. He was the engineer for the design team. He's just like, yep. He didn't take it. Look, there you go. He's a cool engineer. I call him Taekwondo. I gotta give the guy respect. But yeah, he was out there. I remember he sweated like crazy. It was hot. So there you go. He went back. This was before lunch. Before lunch, he goes out there and he goes, oh, that was a good lunch. Actually, it was the same guy, but a different project. So either he gained or lost weight, but this was the bar. I climbed this one night, and I took a picture. You couldn't really tell. I know I got rid of that, but I got scared because I thought someone saw me, but I have to climb things. So I climbed that, took a picture, just say I did. Anyway, so this is Stanley and then him, and then Ted and Stanley. This is on the work barge when we're putting in the new platform. This is my project, the one that I saw for Marathon. And then, so just load that. Then here's Jimmy. This was the survey when we had to come back and get the garbage out of the bottom. So just load that. Then here's Jimmy. This was the survey when we had to come back and get the garbage out of the bottom. And this is a whole nother thing. I know I keep saying that, and there's Tracy. And this was a deal breaker for us. And that's just another time. But here's Jimmy. See, Jimmy, that you put a bag over that? See? That's him. Man, come clean. I've been carrying your weight all these years. And then there's Ted again. But again, just giving a perspective of what we do. This is the Gulf of Mexico. It is like nothing. And the only construction season is during the hurricane months. Because they want to get rid of excessive personnel. But but at night it looks like Iowa farm country. There'll be a little light here and a little light here, and maybe one a little bit closer here, but during the day, it's just haze. Flat, nothing, hot, sticky, but look at Ted. Oh. So, it's pretty wicked out there. There you go. There's this is Jim Saunders. And for the life of me, I can't even figure out why he's out here. Here's John. There's cool John. He's got the cut-off shorts, the socks, that went away, but but there's cool John, and he's hanging to it, and I'm just like, I'll just be over here looking stellar. There's my field book. Then the other thing is hard hat stickers. Got to have your hearts. See, I was so insecure. So it's like, hey, you got a hard hat sticker for me? Got a hard hat sticker for me? John goes, I don't need that. I represent Marathon. I don't need to. No, I do. They might think I'm young from the north and the Yankee from Purdue that wears cords and different socks. Good grief. And then the steel-toed shoes. At one point, I thought I had a picture of wearing them in the field, but I ended up buying steel-toed tennis shoes. And they're these god-awful blue. They're like that color blue. There's the swim trunks. And they were that colored blue, but steel-toed tennis shoes. And people would see them, and they'd just come up, and these guys it's not a boat guy, but these boat guys would come up, and they'd grind their foot into my toe. And they'd hit that steel toe and go, whoa, you surprised me. And I'd just get a little sheepish grin. Yeah, a little smug victory, alpha minor victory. But I had these stupid little, anyway. So this was the barge coming out. This is after we took out the well protector and put in a new one. And I think yesterday I said East Cameron 321. And here's where you're missing the computer cards. It was Eugene Island 159. And, how do you see a project for 7 months and not remember? But it is East Cameron 159. If 153, then the numerology would have been wild. Because 153 was my house address at one. But anyway. So, take out, then replace in kind, because this was a drilling oil platform. And again, oil industry, everything's about how deep the water is. So that was 79 feet. That was the $8 million. And then, the envy was, I wanted as deep as it could go. I wanted that 221, South Pass 89 was 221 feet. And it was like, yeah, because it's like depth envy. You want to be on these projects where was it? Well, I think it was like 320 feet of water. Oh, wow. That was like South Pass 301. Anyway. And then this is lifting the new deck onto the platforms already installed. That's during the out with the old, in with the new. And then this is back on shore. That's the old well protector. There's Waldo. Good grief. I wore that. It was like I lost all my other luggage because that's the only shirt that was in all the pictures. But that's what was there, and that's what they took off. I mean, these were the little chains for the lifeboat. And all you do is you get dropped off, and then they'd do it and check. Production would check everything, and then that'd be it. No living quarters or anything. And then this was in the yard. Same old. Okay. I got pause. Just catch my breath here. Okay. Before we get to that, just put that in the back of your head. And going back to here. So now, this is in the water when we go out there. Oh, you know what? Okay, I had this set up. I just forgot about it. So, Eugene Island was somewhere around here. And then, so I'm in Houston, and the fabrication was over here before the Mandela effect and changed the world. And so, we didn't have to be out there during the offloading as they moved the new structure and towed it out here. So usually they just, the deck is offloaded, or they're unloading onto the barge, and that's why the inspector was there for that, because if anything went wrong, we'd be the last people that could do anything. So I'd just stay back in the office, and they would call up and say, hey, you know what? The barge is on its way to the site, so you might as well get on a helicopter and go out to the workboat, because the workboat's already out here waiting for the barge to come out. So Harima is all set up. It was that Harima barge, and, we'll meet you out there. Just fly to the barge. They've got the helideck, and there is a huge platform. 4 meals a day, and probably a crew of 40. And it was a Dutch crew, or it was a Dutch managed and Portuguese crew that ran those. And none of them, well, the Dutch guys spoke pretty good English, but the Portuguese guys, they're funny, but they read, back then, all they had were VCR tapes, and offshore new VCR tapes are like gold. And so these guys, the only movie they had that they could stand watching that many times, because that's it. That's all. You only have, even if you have 100, you go through 100 fast. So they had, oh, say hello to my little friend. Oh my gosh. I can't, oh. That guy. Kept thinking Danny Darko, and it's just like, anyway. So they loved this movie. All these guys just, kaboom! In Portuguese, boom! They loved it. Anyway, Scarface. Oh, God, that's embarrassing. Danny Darko? No. Serpico? No, it's something like that. So we get the call, Stan calls up, hey, Brain, your platform's on its way out to Eugene Island. And I go, okay. So I fly over to Baton Rouge, or Lafayette was kind of the thing. Baton Rouge, drive over, Lafayette. So I'd probably fly into Lafayette and then drive down, and then out of the heliport around here, fly out to Eugene Island. So that's what I did. And then flying out, and we flew out, and the helicopter was just like, well, we started hovering. He goes, that's where we see the workboat, but we see no barge. And it was like, well, wait a minute, I got the call that said that the barge was here. And the barge ended up talking to the helicopter saying, no, there's no barge. And we're like, what happened to the barge? We go, we don't know. So it flew all the way back to the heliport. And got off, and I'm just, what is going on? Jake's going to have a field day on this, because he's just waiting for me to, he overloaded me with the removal portion plus an installation. So there's new design plus removal. Tracy just had a removal of another platform. Actually, it was just the scrap cleanup that Tracy got his feet wet on. So Jake doubled down on me, and I think he did that, just set a bear trap to, sneeze wrong, and all of a sudden, oh, that's it, the grounds for termination. You got a beach party? That's fine, but this is, you used a 1/4-inch fill weld, and that's unacceptable. Anyway, Rod. One day Rod comes, all right, real quick. Rod one day came in my office, he goes, do you use anything else besides a 1/4-inch fillet on your drawings? And I'm like, yeah. Because we had to do little mods for the platforms. If someone wanted a living quarters, imagine that. This engineer, these cantilevered living quarters over the Gulf that we designed, and they installed that, golly, talk about someone looking over you. I mean, I'll sketch out what I designed, and wow, anyway. So I had 1/4-inch fillet on all these, and I go, no, I design them, I check. He goes, no, I looked over your drawings, and they're all 1/4-inch. So he ended up calling me the 1/4-inch fillet kid. Oh, God. So we fly back, land, and I try running around. What is going on? Where's the platform? Where's the barge? What's going on? These guys don't know. And as it turned out, and again, coincidence is what? God's way of saying or letting you know that he's there? Holy, so it turns out the first time ever there's a barge. This isn't, God, if that were my platform, or I keep saying my platform, you know what I mean, my project, marathon project that I was overseeing. I'm not blowhard on stuff, but that's my baby, one of those guys. So this is the first time this thing sank and blocked the channel, of all things. So there it is. And we had to wait until that cleared. So all that's going on in the office is Jake, what the hell's going on? What's he doing out there? What did he do? And I don't have, I had no dealing with this. Look for a guy with a bag over his head. But, so that took a few days to clean up. And this is either going in or out that we flew around it. Or the guy took me around. I said, I got to document this because I have never heard the end of this barge thing. There it is. See, here's a little thing. The shipyard's back there. I'd do a Google map thing, but I just want to do that tonight and line up. So that thing blocked, and it blocked a week. Now the barge sat out there for extra time until this got cleaned up. Oh, I'll try and find the news story on that because it was a big deal. This had never been blocked off before. Anyway. He's looking over me and laughing. That's later, but no big deal. So we get out there. Okay, imagine we finally get out there and the barges are on their way and everything else. This is what we're taking out. So imagine this underwater. And the water's up to here. So there's your little wave zone and everything else. See, I had them paint that red stripe. I went out of MOC spec. I go, could you just put a 0 water level? Because they always did the gray, the up and down. I go, no, put on mean level water because that's cool. That's a red stripe, man. Never even thought about the beer, but it's a red stripe. This is your fender system. So when barges come blowing in there or they pick up their stash from Colombia, that's how evil I could be. That if they probably did. But if I were to run drugs into America, offshore platforms, jeez. Anyway, like I'm feeling the drug cartels. They've got subs, I know that, so they don't have to worry about this stuff. But that's your fender, and then this is for lifeboats getting on and work other things, smaller things, I guess, I don't know. Wells, and these are the legs. And then cross bracing, then these are the sacrificial anodes. That's what I was. I was just I was Jake's sacrificial anode. I was just a 700-pound glop of aluminum tacked onto a leg. So this thing's down there, but they've got these steel piles. This is hollow. They have steel piles that are driven down like nails into the bed, the ocean bed. And they go down, if that's 100 feet, it'll go down 200 feet. Kind of like a 2-to-1 ratio is what I remember. So plus minus, plus you have to have the bearing capacity at the shoe end and all that other good stuff. And you've got the mud mats so it doesn't sink, and Louisiana muck is pretty mucky. And that's the other thing with those divers. That stuff, they might sink a foot or more just because of the muck by the weight of their own body. And so these things sink down. Anyway, that's why the mud mats has stopped that. So to take this thing out, they had to drop a cage down here. Remember that cage? Drop that down here below the mud line because all this is beefed up. Because all those forces are coming in here. You got that leg, you got this brace and brace. So this section's all beefed up. So you might have 3-inch, 3 1/4, maybe 4-inch steel plate. So you've got to go down way below that to where the pile may only be 1.5 1.25 inches deep, thick. So that little cage has to go a little bit further. But the thing is, when this thing first went down, you get a mud plug here. And I was like, well, how are we going to get past that mud plug? Oh, don't worry about it. You just go be an engineer over there and write in your little book. It's a coloring book, but we won't tell anyone. So what happens is there's a little mud pack there. Even if they drive the pile down, that mud pack is still there or around there. So when they go, and you know where this is going. So when they drop this little cage, here's the copper shot. And they had a thing of C4. No, this was copper buckshot. So they drop this thing down, and it's supposed to blow the steel apart, and everything's good, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 legs. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Lift it out. Go home. Well, not so fast. And I threw out so many of these because all I had was my Where's Waldo shirt on. So these ended up failing. These all failed. So this times 4 at least, because they tried this twice, so 8. I had 8 pics of these with Where's Waldo sitting in each one pointing out here. And I'd use a little welding rod on the deck and just point out here. There's... I'll find it here. There we go. There's my welding rod. Now, see, this guy, this sucked up. This stunk. Anyway, well, there's a bone pile. So, not once, twice, because they had a backup. They're not dummies. But it was that mud plug that hung everything up. Look at that. Just charred that thing. Blew the cage. But these little squirrel cages did nothing. I really forgot what they did. I mean, then it got into, are you not an inspector, but do you have authority or do you have responsibility? What do you want us to do? Because something ain't working. Are your drawings? And then it went into this whole thing is what's going on. And I think God had enough of what was going on because it went on for at least an extra week till we finally. So that was a shot that went off. That was we knew when we saw that we had a home run. Because before you back off, and then they go, okay, fire in the hole, or whatever they do. I mean, they make fun of it because it's, explosives. How cool is that? Legitimate, the explosives. So we go fire in the hole, and all of a sudden this, and it'd just be a little cloud, you wait 30 seconds, then there'd be a little cloud of smoke that came up, and then that was it. It was like, oh, I don't know if that cut through 1.5 inches of steel, but let's pull on it. So then we'd go, puff, maybe a little puff, nothing, and then, maybe a little puff. Then the boat would have to, jerry-rig the anchors because you're on an 8-point system. You can figure it out. So the barge would have to pull away and then set the chargers and then pull back in. So that's probably 4 or 5 hours. It's not a real, because you got tugboats out here. They're pulling on the chain. So it's an ordeal. So you get back in there, you load everything up, and then hold on, this is important. All right, so remember that, the little eyes and stuff? So when they came back, they had to hook up like that. I mean, exactly like that. And get all that rigged up and get the crane over and then start pulling on it. Then they pull on it and then it gets to the point where nothing's giving. Nothing. We're going to rip something out. You guys want us to keep pulling or not? It ain't suction at this point because that mud just creates a suction. It's not that because this is a well protector. This is no weight compared to other things. This is designed for a drill rig and a production platform. This is nothing. This is toothpicks out there. So crane operators saying, look, I'm pulling on it. We're way past where we should. Okay. So then we'd have to come closer and go figure out what's going on. 2 more times. Boom, boom, boom. Finally, we get the, thump. And 4 of those, and then that's what those things looked like. And I had the full set. And I actually had pictures of me standing next to them like they were trophy fishing pics. It was just so bad. But we finally just blew the hell out of it. It's like, get this thing out no matter what. Go get Butch. We got enough dynamite, Butch. Let's get it down. And I think that's it. But, oh, God, that took forever. And then the barge being in the harbor, that was bad. And I get back, and it's like, oh, we're under budget. Oh, that's why I had this. And then I had them save all the scrap. Because they stripped out the old, when they brought the deck back from the old one, I had them strip. Oh, no. The new platform was actually a refurbished old platform. I forget. forgot about that. That's why I got I remember I was overloaded 3 times by stuff. There. This was a refurbished deck that they put on. This was in existence, and then they brought it ashore, and then at the Fab Yard, they cleaned it all up and then reused it. And I had them save all the scrap. That's what this is. And this turned out to be about $4,000 in change. Maybe 4,000 and change. And I was happy about that. I was so fastidious on garbage that I had a tally sheet on what they pulled off. Anyway, so I went to Jake and said, look, hey, remember all that steel that you're laughing at that I had him keep? We got $4,000 credit from Avondale on that. Meanwhile, Avondale's probably overcharging us for everything else, but let's just let the little Bucky make him feel good and give him a check for $4,000. Meanwhile, we overloaded him by 20 grand somewhere else. But that was and Jake just didn't even, just go. Just gave me that look. Don't even. Why are you just being annoying for annoyances? And there's Stanley rummaging through it, but that was a forced pick. So yeah, that was wrapping up. And then this was another thing. I was down there, and this happened. Not when I was I was in the parking lot, and all of a sudden this thing starts going off, and it was like, what are the chances of me being around when this thing goes? Oh God! And then there's not a big deal, but we had a little water spout thing going off. Neat. But oh my God, that was a deal breaker with guy just okay, after this one, well, I gotta do one more after this in the squirrel cages, but I'll let you go after this. There's a reason, Brian, you just don't know about it yet. It's way down the line, like 2018 maybe. You can appreciate this, but you'll laugh. Anyway, I'll be back. Quick addendum, I found an article on that barge accident. It was a bigger deal than I remember. But yeah, 6 dead on that inlet. It was May 22nd. And the other articles were just copies, probably UP or AP or UPI story, because the others were the same. But yeah, it was a bigger deal than I thought. So yeah, verify the date. Oh, it's the other rigs. So these are all the same stories. These didn't have pictures. May 20th. Ugh. But on a more less somber note, so I'm starting to get feedback about what's going on in Morgan City. It's just like, that's my YouTube name. It's like, oh, I'm onto something. This is what I found. And then it's like, I'm going to keep this a little surprise, but oh, look at that. And it's like, wow, what is going on? So those of you who don't know, I don't want to plug the guy, but this guy's pretty funny. In fact, when I clicked on this, I had the show going on in the background, and fortunately this screencast is cool. You can actually delete, but you can hear this chick's pretty funny. But then, anyway, she's on in the background. I go, I got her to narrate over. Anyway, another thing. Okay, we're done. I'll be back. Bye.